The sun beat down on the cracked earth of the small farming village of Marrow Ridge, where crops barely sprouted and rain was only a rumor passed down by the old. Life here was harsh, unforgiving, and steeped in quiet struggle. Among its few remaining residents was Jacob Thorne, a man in his early 40s with hands that told the story of every failed harvest. Once proud, Jacob had become a man worn thin by years of drought and debt. His wife had left him long ago, unable to bear the hunger and hardship, and his only son had moved to the city, leaving no return address. Each day, Jacob rose with the sun, only to watch his fields mock him with their barrenness. He had sold off his cattle, one by one, until only a single mule remained, a stubborn, silent creature named Mudpie, who was more loyal than anyone else Jacob knew. It was on one such dry and hopeless morning that a knock came to his door. Not many visitors came to Marrow Ridge anymore, so Jacob was already suspicious when he opened it to find two men dressed in black suits, standing with a polished mahogany box between them. "You're Jacob Thorne?" the taller one asked. Jacob nodded, squinting against the sunlight. "We have a job for you," the man said. "A burial?" Jacob frowned. "I ain't no undertaker." "We're where?" the man said, his voice devoid of emotion. "But you're discreet, and you need the money." Shorter one opened the lid of the box. Inside was cash, more than Jacob had seen in years. $5,000. Enough to buy seed, maybe fix the roof, even pay off some of the debt. Hanging like a noose around his neck. "Who is it?" Jacob asked, suddenly wary. "A woman, unclaimed. No family, no ID. Just dot. Dispose of her quietly. Dig deep." The tone sent a chill down his spine. But Jacob's hunger overrode his conscience. He nodded reluctantly. "Where is she?" The men didn't answer. They simply pointed to the back of a black van that had appeared in his yard like a ghost. Jacob approached it slowly, his boots crunching on gravel. When he opened the door, he found a woman wrapped in white linen, pale and still, her hair falling over her face like strands of gold. She looked too peaceful to be dead, too alive. Jacob shook the thought away. Money was money. He loaded her gently onto his cart, covering her with a tarp, and made his way to the back of his land, where the old pine grove stood, a place where no one wandered. The trees whispered like old spirits there, and the shadows stayed even at noon. As he dug, the air seemed heavier. The deeper he went, the louder his doubts grew. She didn't smell like death. Her skin had no decay. Maybe they embalmed her fast, he thought. Rich people stuff. But something gnawed at his mind. When the hole was 4 feet deep, Jacob paused to wipe his brow. He removed the linen sheet just to take one last look, to see who he was burying. And that's when her eyelids fluttered. For a heartbeat, Jacob froze, thinking his eyes had deceived him. But then she drew in a rattling gasp of air, shallow and fragile, but unmistakably alive. Jacob stumbled back in horror, nearly tumbling into the grave himself. She coughed weakly, her lips moving without sound. He looked around, panic seizing his chest. No one was near. No one to help. No one to witness this miracle or this madness. His heart pounded in his ears as he dropped to his knees beside her. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" he asked, gently shaking her shoulder. Her eyelids cracked open slightly, revealing pale blue eyes clouded with confusion and fear. She tried to speak, but her voice was no more than a whisper of wind. "Water," she breathed. Jacob rushed back to his farmhouse, grabbing the canteen he kept by the door. When he returned, she was curled on her side, trembling. He helped her sip the water, watching color return faintly to her cheeks. "Who are you?" he asked. She blinked, then shook her head slowly. "Don't know." Her words came slowly, haltingly. Dark room, injections, loud voices. Her hands clenched as if remembering pain. "I was supposed to die." Jacob felt cold all over. This wasn't just a mistake. This was something darker. I looked back at the van, but it was gone. No tire tracks, no dust, just silence. Jacob knew he had to decide. Leave her and walk away with the money, or take a chance that could cost him everything. He wrapped her in a clean blanket, carried her back to the house, and laid her on the couch. Over the next 2 days, she regained some strength. She told him her name was Evelyn. She remembered fragments, a hospital, men in masks, voices saying she was property, a number tattooed behind her ear. 36 cell. Jacob stared at it. It wasn't just a number, it was a warning. Whoever wanted her buried wasn't done looking. But Jacob had buried a lot more than crops. He had buried hope. And now, for the first time in years, something had sprouted in his life again. He wasn't about to let it die, not this time. The men in black would return, and when they did, they'd find more than just a struggling farmer. It's find a man who had nothing left to lose and everything to protect. But what Jacob didn't know yet was that Evelyn wasn't the only one who'd escaped.